first thing, introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about the work that your company is doing.
My name is Ralph Liu. I'm the founder and CEO for Mulechain and also for Turbo Chains. I'm based in Southern California, Newport Beach.
So, how you have come to Block Mumbai for the first time? How was your experience at Block Mumbai? What kind of interaction did you have?
I think Safras did an excellent professional job. I'm quite impressed and way above expectation. But I heard a lot of the speakers and some participants, everybody seems to have a visa problem. And so did I. I got stranded in Amsterdam for one more day. Apart from that, everything's excellent.
If I ask you to tell us what do you think is the biggest strength that your application or your solution has for the industry, what would you say is the big idea behind the multi-layered application that you create?
Okay. So first of all, let me just start from the beginning, how I got involved in the blockchain. I've always been a fintech guy. You know, I was head of Asia for UBS in the capital market derivative trading, based in Singapore. Then based in Hong Kong for Chase. So all along I'm involved in, I used to have a big banking system business, you know, out of Singapore as well, and cover a lot of countries. Oracle based, the Visual Basic front end, you know, we're the first banking system to go online by using Citrix on the internet. So been there, done that, you know, with fintech. Then fast forward. So basically, I was involved in a lot of fractional share business as an investment banker. And this is before tokenization. Then the way to do the fractional share in the past is very difficult. The only way to accomplish that is through securitization. But securitization have a lot of limitation in terms of trading liquidity, in terms of a pool of potential investors, you know. So what happened in 2017, they just called us, you know, sort of in surprise as a seasoned Wall Street investment banker. So you ended up with a lot of technology hackers. They ended up with a product without knowing much about banking and legal. So what a token is a fractional share. So by default, they already own the product. That sort of gave me a jolt to come back in this technology. So then after, you know, spending a lot of money, a lot of time trying to launch that fractional share, our first venture is actually in the called We Co-Own. So that's where we stopped previously. Now, once I got back into the blockchain, I just understand there's so much power beyond just in a fractional share business, you know. So then I was telling the story in the panel. Then I was meeting one guy. I say, you know, other than trading cryptocurrency, you got to learn this thing about blockchain. I asked him, what do you do? You know, he said, I'm a mover. So I say, oh, wow, logistic, you know, you can use the blockchain to really disrupt your industry. Blah, blah, blah. That's how I got involved in thinking about how to apply, you know, the blockchain. Now, because I was involved in the fractional share, so I was in the state of mind for sharing economy for many, many years. You know, immediately I was just thinking about the P2P business model. That's how I ended up with Mulechain. So what a Mulechain is basically trying to turn every traveler to be able to make money out of the platform, you know, on the P2P basis. But also for people who stay at home, that's what we call a pack station. So let's say using one case to illustrate what exactly Mulechain does. So let's say, Rahul, you know, you want to visit me next week in LA. Now somebody's going to approach you. They know you're already a member of Mulechain. They see your trip coming up next week. They say, Rahul, can you take this jacket to my daughter? She's studying in the UCLA. If you do, I'll pay you $100. Once you agree, you are the mule on our Mulechain platform. So you get $100 out of your maybe $500, you know, ticket. 20% of the trip cost is subsidized. Why not? So this is only the beginning, you know. Then later on, after 3 months, I came up with another, you know, concept called pack station. Basically, what if people don't want to meet you? Because before blockchain, again, you know, the advantage of blockchain, you meet people online could be very dangerous. So having blockchain, which means we can set up a pack station concept. If you basically drop the item at a pack station owner, So on the platform, the pack station could be anybody. Could be your neighbor, could be your local gas station, local restaurant, could be yourself when you're not traveling. Think about the whole world, how many jobs we're going to create for the gig economy on the independent worker basis, okay? Other than traveler, everybody staying at home. Think about how many handicapped people, how many senior citizens. They can never come out to get a job, participate, a conference, to make money. But we give them a way to make money, generate income stream for themselves. We bring dignity to many, many people's lives. So once I got, such a realization, I jumped full force into this because I figure I was doing derivative trading all my life. There's only 1%, less than 1% of the world's population understand what I do or can benefit from what I do. But if I can make this Mulechain thing concept, successful, I can really benefit more than 90% of the world's population. So that became a mission for me all of a sudden.
I can understand the pack station concept that you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. Just think about the grandparents, they're sitting at home doing nothing. But the whole idea is this new concept that we have created. It's called the Convenience Assistance Service, which means you're doing a convenience to help somebody else who are being paid. Everybody in our daily life, you have extra resources in terms of time and space. Time meaning the old folks sitting at home, handicapped people sitting at home. They have all this time, in their life. They can help somebody else and get paid. Space, meaning every traveler in your luggage, you have small space. Move that space to, stuff another jacket for somebody else's daughter. Why not? So if you're doing this way, collectively as a human being, think about how efficient humans going to perform all their daily tasks. How many trees we're going to save? How much less carbon footprint are we going to create? That's why it just blew my mind, once I came into this concept. But again, we started all that because of the blockchain ICO, but being a seasoned investment banker, I just saw, there's a lot of holes in this ICO game. So we're very reluctant to launch the ICO. We started out in the end of 2017. By March, we decided, well, that's another way to go. So for the rest of the year, we prepare for a regulated ICO. But we experimented with it. It's very difficult, because you need to bridge between the totally unregulated ICO market with a regulation framework. So there's a lot of technicality how to go about doing that, and we tried it. But once you became security, all those tricks in the Telegram, 10,000 members, doing airdrop bounty, doesn't work anymore. And 90% of the potential investor of $50, $100 in Bitcoin, they won't pass your KYC.
Bottom line remains, there is really no STO. STO is basically just a mirage. It's a dream that people are dreaming up. There is no security token as such.
It's just a misnomer, yeah.
There's nothing called security token existing in the world right now. So if I was to ask you, what is the biggest challenge that an entrepreneur like you has today when it comes down to getting the same amount of money which used to come out very easily with ICOs? What is the biggest challenge that you're facing? Is it the concept has to be complete, the product has to be ready? What is it that the investor is looking for today?
Well, basically, come back to the same story now. And to raise money from investors, that process is called selling a security. The security could be anything, could be XYZ, your shoes, your clothes, or anything, any concept. So if you sell it in the process to get money from the investor, it is called a security. So that's why if you're selling a token, doesn't really matter, payment token, utility token, or asset token. You can call it a security token, but per se, there's no such a thing as a security token. You're correct in saying that. So the biggest challenge is basically you need to have a business. It's not just a story. But the unfortunate thing is, 90%, 99.9% of the ICO is selling a story during the peak of 2017, So if you are the lucky ones, you get the money, but the whole point is very few, maybe less than 1%. You raise a lot of money, maybe you got the most stupid idea in the world, but with that pile of money, if you had converted it to fiat currency, you can use that to buy other people's smart idea. Now you can be very successful. You can laugh all the way to the bank. But when I say if, not that many people manage to do that. The majority of them raised that money, they kept in the cryptocurrency. So they either couldn't convert it into fiat currency or they didn't want to because of greed. Then the cryptocurrency collapsed. So whatever the money that they raised, let's say $50 million, right now with the currency collapsed by 80%, they have very little left in fiat currency term to really pay the developer, the programmer, to develop the product and services that you promised to the investors. That's what's facing all the ICO sponsors throughout the world. You will see more and more problem coming up within the next year or so. So many people ask me, they say, well, you should be happy that you guys missed the boat, not raising ICO. Because I literally observed many of them is going through the unwinding process. They have not just ICC, they got IRS on their back, So they really spending their daily life, with all the lawyer, legal, trying to unwind the process.
You started your career here in Asia, in Singapore, I think that's what you told us.
I started from New York City, out of business school.
You were in Singapore as well at one point.
Yes, from New York, I went to Singapore.
And that must have been about a decade or so back or more.
In the 90s, yeah.
We're talking about 2 decades, 3 decades back. Now, when you
That long?
When you come back to Asia today for business purposes, what is the change in culture that you see over here when it comes down to technology, the approach of entrepreneurs, the approach of investors? Has it changed a lot in that period of time?
Well, actually, I can tell you this. I didn't just come out now. I've been coming back several times, like in the 2005, 2006. So one of my previous top customer at Chase and UBS, he used to manage central bank reserve. Then I used to do a lot of teaching, speaking conference, teaching people how to do the derivative trading. So I had a lot of students, throughout the banks, financial institutions, throughout Asia. So, and people used to say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, I came from Wall Street with a Wharton MBA, I literally created the derivative industry in the earlier days. So from the business side, that's why we were very successful launching a derivative risk management system on the banking side, So then one of them became, a lot of them I taught them, they're middle manager, but years gone by and they became mover and shaker in their country. And the other half probably went to jail, It's not a joke, it's really happened. So luckily, one of them became the president for the 5th largest bank. Then he brought me in as the first foreigner to be ever on the board of a communist-owned bank. So together we made a miracle. We created the first interest rate swap for the domestic interbank renminbi market. Because of that, the bank, China Everbright, became the first commercial bank to offer fixed-rate mortgages to the entire Chinese homeowners market. So then that made a history in Chinese banking, financial industry, So then during that time, I had to make a decision because, I was living in Southern California. I either have to move back in Asia again. So I decided just to stay in California. That's when I went back in California. I got involved in a series of a fintech project, including all the equity sharing stuff. Then fast forward, until I got sucked into blockchain again. So to answer your question, many times I came back, even in the 90s, the financial structure that we created, then many years passed when they launched in China, because it's such a big market, they got huge, the market to sell to. In the past, we can sell it for $60, $70 million, per project. But when those know-how we created it, by the time they implemented it in China, per project they can put in 1 billion, 2 billion, sort of size. That's just blew your mind, So one thing I need to point out when you ask this question, because I myself spent a lot of my professional career in the emerging market. In Chinese, they have a way to say the 后发优势. I have to translate that into English for you, which means all the country, developing country, when you develop something, because you're using the new technology. For example, in the 90s, I was based in Singapore. You look at Malaysia, you look at Hong Kong, they building, let alone Singapore airport, Changi airport, they built the airport, 10 times more advanced than the crummy infrastructure in the US, JFK, LAX, you couldn't compete. So that's on the hardware wise. But in Malaysia, Indonesia, you can see 5-star hotel and all that stuff. But when you go out of the hotel, you still have other infrastructure they do not have, the entire structure. But whenever the developing country building the new technology, then you can go for the best. So now it's what I've been observing in the 90s, in 2000. But this time around, I have to tell you, I went back into China. Within the last 10 years, it just blew my mind. When I first went back to China in 1992 as a banker, you cannot tell, the 5th largest bank, they, have their dealing room in the hotel without infrastructure. So then within 10 years, then this 2 years later, 1992 to 94, I went back there, they got a glass and steel building. But the software part wasn't there. When we have a meeting at 12 o'clock, everybody has to stop meeting. They have to go downstairs to eat the communist style canteen, to eat the communist style, the luncheon, Then at 5 o'clock, everybody have to take the bus to go back to the dormitory. I'm talking about the world's 5th largest bank, okay? This is in the 90s, but now they just quantum leaped. Throughout China, every city you go, they have a new part of the city. All these are built just within the last 10 years. You'll be amazed. They got the old city there, but the entire infrastructure, the high-rise skyscraper, it's all built within 10 years. So this time around, when I was surprised, I came back, just came back about 3 months ago. This trip, I haven't been back in China for 2 years. I was trying to buy some souvenir. My colleague just said, no need to use cash, already paid for. I got some renminbi in my pocket, from before. So I was trying to pay. They just use a QR code scanning. That's it. As simple as that. Then just blew my mind, really. It's amazing. China have 1.3 billion population. Now nobody use cash. Why are they so successful? Let me explain this to you. I've been involved in fintech business. I've been using Samsung Pay. Somehow the Western technology, you just need 2 people to both own a cell phone to kiss each other. Both persons need to have a hardware to make a payment. But, the Alibaba, the Tencent WeChat Pay, all they do is just use the QR code scanning, which means the recipient, the poor farmer selling you grocery on the ground, the souvenir shop selling their souvenir on the table, all they need is just a cardboard holding their QR code. That's it. So that's why the pervasiveness is what they have accomplished. With that, it just blew my mind.
So what they did was they took a technology, they made it non-technical by just printing it on a piece of cardboard,
Yeah.
thereby eliminating the use of technology so far as the end seller is in consideration. He might be a poor farmer and he has no access to technology.
That's right.
But he just needs a printout of a QR code.
That's right. Think about how many the rest of the world has 7 billion population. There's 6.9% of the world, they probably would love this way of receiving a payment, including the beggars in the city, on the street. All you need is just a piece of paper, you can get paid. So that's exactly what I've experienced. To answer your question, the other part of all this technology, what China has done recently, it's not just a high-rise building, they have a better airport and all that. Because the whole technology, they quantum leaped on AI. Everywhere you check in a hotel, you got to go through a face recognition now. It's just, maybe they're less democratic, but they have the way to actually, not to worry about invading people's privacy. And they have such a huge population to test the big data. So they quantum leap to become a world leader in artificial intelligence. Now, that's on the big picture. Well, let me relate to you what I do on the turbo chains now. So I went back because I speak a lot of conferences throughout the world. I met this Chinese group, they came to me, they showed me what they have. So this parent company, they are #1 in banking, insurance, in the petrochemical industry, including the Chinese government Treasury Department, their financial system, accounting system built by them. Then the world's 2nd largest petroleum company, their financial system, global payment system. So they built all this corporate messaging and also the financial system already, as a corporate P2P enterprise software developers. So they developed all the solution within the last 10 years. 3 years ago, because of the blockchain technology, they developed as an experiment, with a local university and convert everything into the blockchain. So now, not only you got the full capability of WeChat Pay using QR code scanning, but it's built on blockchain now, the private node, enterprise blockchain, but also cryptocurrency ready, okay? By the time they're ready, China banned cryptocurrency. So this group of people, after my speech in the conference, they came to me, it just blew my mind. I said, how come you guys are not multimillionaire yet, Then I realized they work for such a big company, So then we met, I went to China. Then my first impression is, this is exactly what I need for Mulechain. Because we were raising money, right? In order for me to build eventually the Mulechain Ralph, our app, I needed to raise 5 million to 10 million with 2 or 3 years to develop such a sophisticated system. Because not just money, you need that many man-hours to build it and test it with 200,000 users. So that's what really impressed me. Then instead of just putting this whole thing into Mulechain, we form a new company. Then I partner with a Chinese partner. So now what we want to do is actually providing this, not just as a backend for the Mulechain, but providing the products called TurboPay. Right now, the whole team with 30 software engineers, and it's converting from Chinese to English to an international copy. We just went to Moscow and Yerevan in Armenia, starting the corporate sales now. So basically, we can provide that TurboPay. So what exactly is TurboPay now? TurboPay has a full capability as the chatting, messaging, social networking, like a WeChat, like a WhatsApp, like a Telegram, but more. You can have a Facebook, all your, the feed, all your social networking, number one. Number two, you have full-blown mobile payment. You can do the QR code scanning in the fiat currency and also in cryptocurrency. So the cryptocurrency part, you don't have to switch it on. If you, apply it in a country that government has restriction on the use of cryptocurrency, you can simply treat the token as a reward token, okay? So then you got the m-commerce. M-commerce, mobile commerce. So basically throughout the world, people started with e-commerce, but now with the 5G, everything gonna ship to the phone now. So there's a lot of e-commerce sale that's going stale. They need to re-energize themselves. This is a perfect opportunity for them to move on the mobile, platform. In addition, they got the payment capability using QR code scanning. So that's what TurboPay is. Basically full mobile payment in fiat and cryptocurrency, social networking, m-commerce. Then you have a lot of healthcare and all that, Everybody can download it. The demo version, it's not a demo version, it's just unbranded version. It's a full-blown user version. You can download it in the Google Play Store. You can also download it in the Apple Test Flight. And Apple is asking us to become an exchange or financial institution before the full approval. We're still going through some of the details. But that's not the business model we want to run. What we want to do is to become the world's third alternative after Alibaba, after Tencent. Because right now, Alibaba and Tencent, WeChat Pay owns 93% of the market share in China. That concept, this simple concept, is just so powerful, as I explained to you. But now they're going throughout the world, facing a lot of resistance, I have to say, because people say, like Indonesia, say, hey, you can only do it for the overseas Chinese, They don't want you to infringe on the, the local autonomy, So, for example, they go to Paytm. They're using the same technology now, but Alibaba owns 40% of them. What we want to be is to be the technology provider, OEM, private label, to go to the corporation, go to the bank. We provide them with the technology, a better technology than Alibaba, a better technology than WeChat. Then we stay behind the scene to help them to become successful, to do their own brand with their own customer base. That's our business model. So if you're successful, chances are we could own bigger market share than Alibaba or WeChat in the future. Now,
I certainly hope that your company grows and goes on to do what you're planning to do.
Okay.
We'll be in touch with you. And thank you so much for finding our time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.